Michael is also the creator of the Hay House online course, The Path of Effortless Change. His Caffeine for the Soul daily podcast has been a self-help favorite on iTunes since its debut in 2016. And his weekly radio show, Living from the Inside Out, has been a listener staple on Hay House Radio for over a decade. Michael's TEDx talk, Why Aren't We Awesomer?, has been praised by luminaries ranging from Sir Ken Robinson to Wayne Dyer, and has now been viewed by over 150,000 people around the world. I am eager to dive into our conversation about our true nature, accessing the space within, and living in and from the deeper mind. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to be here with you and to begin to explore these concepts of, as I mentioned, our true nature, the space within. And as I said in the intro, you are the creator of the Hay House online course, The Path of Effortless Change. And I have to say that I, and I'm sure all of our listeners, want to hear more about this effortless change you speak of.
What is this effortless change of which you speak, man?
Exactly.
Make yourself plain, please. We have lives to get on with. Well, it's a really interesting thing that I stumbled on completely by accident, because I thought I understood change. I thought I was an expert in the art of change. I was a master trainer in neurolinguistic programming, and I had all these ideas about why it was that I was able to help people change. Mm-hmm. But there were always these anomalies where people would just kind of change all by themselves, like before I got to them. These sort of spontaneous changes. Exactly, right? and it was like, wait a minute, I didn't do anything yet. Get back here. And I at a certain point, it was actually around 2007, started to go, this isn't random. There are principles behind this. There are consistent things at play that make this possible. And the best analogy I've got for it, at least at the moment, is if I'm sure you're familiar with the idea that, and there are variations on it, but to change a lifelong habit takes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 45 days, whatever, right? Well, here's the thing. If you went to work the same way for 20 years, and it took an hour, and there was always traffic, and it was kind of a barren road, and then one day you saw a shortcut that had always been there, but you just never seen it, that would get you there in 15 minutes, and it was through the woods, and it was lovely, and there was never any traffic. How many days would it take for you to start going the new way? And pretty much everyone can see, well, I'd start going the new way immediately.
Right.
Well, that's the real nature of change. That, yes, if we want to condition it and we want to make it happen kind of against our will, if we want to break a habit, sure, that takes time and repetition and practice. But actually, the brain is a lot smarter than you think. And if you show it a genuinely better way, if it sees for itself, if you see for yourself something that's more true than what you've been thinking, it's game over. Like if you've been drinking something your whole life and you think, oh, this is, what a lovely, slightly bitter cordial. And then somebody says, that thing you're drinking is arsenic. You would be done, right? There would be no detox program needed. There would be no intervention from your family needed. You would stop because nobody willfully drinks arsenic.
Right.
And it's the same at every level. When we struggle to change, it's because we don't really see a better way, but we think we should change anyways. When change is effortless, it's because we genuinely and insightfully see a better way for ourselves.
I love that. Thank you. And it makes, of course, it makes perfect and clear sense.
And that's kind of annoying to me because I spent so many years working so hard to make people change and to make myself change.
Of course. Well, yeah, because we can only make ourselves change, right?
and to see that to see that so much of it was right there for the taking. I mean, I'm obviously kidding about being disappointed, but only kind of.
No, I know.
I really was.
No, but it's also, but it speaks to how we definitely make things more difficult for ourselves than they need to be, or that they even are.
Well, and I remember being with a client when I'd begun to see this, but I hadn't really seen the principles behind it yet. And I was sitting with a client, and we started going through this ritual for his self-esteem. And it was the first time in my life where I thought, oh my God, I'm like a witch doctor. I'm doing a dance with this guy in order to kind of impress him so that he'll change, when actually he's already fine. And that was when I began to see that a lot of the things that we do that we think cause change are noise in the system. They're rituals that kind of reassure us that it's okay to change. They're not actually the causal elements in the change.
Can you say a little more about that?
Well, sure. Like, okay, so I don't know if you've this is like such a simple, maybe even simplistic example, but you're going up to speak for the first time in front of a group, and somebody that you care about, that cares for you, is there, and they give you a hug before you go on, and they say, "Go get him, Tiger. You're going to be great." And you go out, and indeed you do go get him, Tiger, and you are great, right? It would be very easy to say, well, I was great because of the support of my very good friend. In fact, what happened, if we had a videotape of the inside of your head, is up until the point that they said that, you were thinking about all the different ways you were going to fail. You were thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You were making plans for your move to Canada when it went terribly wrong and the audience came after you. You know, your head was filled with horror stories that were making you feel horrible. And when your friend did that, your kind, loving friend, you stopped thinking about all that. And you fell out of that part of your mind. You fell out of that thinking, and you fell into the space within. You fell into the quiet that's inside all of us, underneath the noise. And from that space, we perform really well, regardless of the task at hand. It looks like it was your friend, but it was actually falling out of your conceptual mind and into the space within.
So, moving into this space within, I know that you've often said that we noise ourselves up.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely was fascinating to me, at least. I'm going to say it's absolutely fascinating. You can decide for yourself. But to me, the very first experience that I had of peace of mind that I recognized as such was while doing an NLP exercise. So there was this exercise where you were supposed to reach up in your mind and find the volume knob and turn down the volume on the voice in your head. And I did this exercise, and sure enough, I experienced this beautiful feeling of peace and quiet. And so in my mind, because I thought it was the technique that had done it, I thought, I need to learn everything about this. And I threw myself into NLP, and I became a practitioner, then a master practitioner, then a trainer, then a master trainer. And I made my life about more techniques that could create that kind of change. And I remember the day I was with Robert Holden, and we were hanging out in a hotel lobby, and it happened to be the hotel where I'd been at when I had that very first experience at that point, some 20 years earlier. And I had a holy cow moment where I realized, had somebody simply told me in that moment where I experienced peace of mind, this is your natural state of being, I would have saved myself 17 years of hard work.
Right.
But I didn't know that. So I worked at it for 17 years. I didn't realize that peace of mind is what's there when we're not noising ourselves up.
Yeah, it's a beautiful dovetail into what you were saying about effortless change. You know, it's like this is what is wanting to happen or what is wanting to be, and then we start complicating it.
It's what's natural, even though
natural.
it's so not normal.